Before we get into it, let me show you some of the reviews people have left for the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra on Amazon, because sometimes buyers just get it. 5 stars. Quote, "The zoom on this camera is so good I accidentally read my neighbor's texts from my living room. We need to talk, Karen." Okay. 5 stars. Quote, "Bought this to take better photos of my food. I now have a food photography Instagram, a catering inquiry, and no friends who will eat dinner with me anymore." Valid. 1 stars. Quote, "1 star. The battery lasts so long my mother-in-law now calls me instead of my wife. I specifically needed a phone that would die." Fair enough. 5 stars. Quote, "The S Pen is so precise I've started signing birthday cards in a font I invented. My family thinks I've joined a cult." I mean, 2 stars. Quote, "2 stars. I dropped it down a flight of stairs into a puddle and it's completely fine. Now I have no excuse for an upgrade in 2 years. Completely unacceptable. Noted." 5 stars. Quote, "The AI circle to search feature identified my ex's new boyfriend from a blurry background at a concert. I did not ask for this power and I am not ready for it. Respect." All right. Let's actually get into the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra review. You're about to spend $1,299 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Let me save you some time. I've been using this phone for 2 weeks straight. Camera tests, gaming sessions, the whole thing. And I have some thoughts that the spec sheets aren't going to tell you. Stick around. Here's the short version for the busy people. The Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra is genuinely one of the best Android phones you can buy right now. The Snapdragon 8 Elite chip is a beast, the camera system is still class-leading, and the S Pen integration keeps getting smarter. If you're coming from an S22 Ultra or older, this is a massive upgrade and you'll feel it immediately. If you're on an S24 Ultra, the jump is real but smaller. Bottom line, this phone earns its price tag, but it's not perfect. Let's get into all of it. Alright, so cracking open the box, and first thing you notice is how Samsung has really refined the packaging. It's clean, minimal, very premium feeling. Inside you get the phone itself, obviously the S Pen already tucked into its silo, a USB-C cable, and a SIM ejector tool. No charger in the box, which we'll just have to keep accepting as the new normal, I suppose. Picking up the phone for the first time, the build quality is immediately impressive. You've got the new titanium frame, which Samsung calls Armor Titanium, and it genuinely feels more substantial than last year. The Corning Gorilla Armor 2 glass on the front is matte finished, which does an incredible job cutting down on glare and fingerprints. The back glass has this subtle frosted texture that feels amazing in the hand. The phone is slightly slimmer on the sides compared to the S24 Ultra, and that squared-off design has been softened just a touch at the corners. It makes it noticeably more comfortable to hold for long stretches. First impressions are excellent. This feels like a $1,300 phone. Let's talk about what's actually powering this thing. First up, the processor. You've got the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip inside, and this is a significant deal. It's the same chip in basically every flagship Android phone of 2025, but Samsung has tuned it well. In plain terms, it handles everything you throw at it without breaking a sweat. Display is a 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED with a 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. That means it looks stunning whether you're reading emails or watching 4K video, and it adjusts to save battery when you're not doing much. It gets eye-wateringly bright outdoors, over 2600 nits peak brightness, so you can actually see it on a sunny day. RAM sits at 12 GB, which helps the phone keep more apps open in the background without having to reload them constantly. Storage starts at 256 GB, goes up to 1 TB if you need it. Camera system is quad lens, a 200 megapixel main shooter, a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and 2 telephoto lenses hitting 3x and 5x optical zoom. That 50x space zoom is still there and still surprisingly usable. Battery is 5000 mAh, supports 45-watt wired charging and 15-watt wireless. And of course the S Pen is built in with improved AI features that we'll touch on shortly. Day to day this phone is absolutely fluid. I have not experienced a single stutter, crash, or slowdown in 2 weeks of heavy use. Switching between apps is instant. Gaming on titles like Genshin Impact and Call of Duty Mobile is smooth at max settings with barely any heat buildup, which has been a problem on some previous Samsung flagships. The Galaxy AI features are genuinely useful now, not just gimmicks. Circle to search works incredibly fast, the live translation during calls is surprisingly accurate, and the Note Assist on the S Pen does a good job summarizing long handwritten notes into clean text. I actually used it to clean up my grocery list voice notes, and it worked better than I expected. Battery life in real-world use gets me comfortably through a full day, sometimes pushing into day 2 with lighter usage. Charging to full takes about 65 minutes with a fast charger, which isn't the fastest in the class, but it's perfectly acceptable. One small quirk. One UI 7 takes a little getting used to if you're coming from stock Android or iOS. There are settings buried under other settings, but once you've customized it to your liking, it's actually a very feature-rich experience. Give it a week. 3 real strengths worth highlighting. Number 1. That camera system is still the benchmark for Android photography. The 200 megapixel main sensor captures an insane amount of detail in good light, and the computational photography has gotten genuinely better at handling tricky scenes like backlit portraits or fast-moving subjects. The 5x telephoto especially punches well above its weight, and night mode is among the best I've tested on any phone this year. Number 2, the S Pen. If you take notes, annotate documents, sketch ideas, or just like having a stylus available, no other phone does this better. The latency is near zero. The AI-powered features add real value, and the fact that it stores inside the phone means you actually have it when you need it. It's a differentiator that genuinely matters in daily use. Number 3, the software longevity. Samsung is promising 7 years of OS updates and security patches on the S25 Ultra. That is a huge deal when you're spending over $1,000. You're not buying a phone for 2 years, you're buying it for the long haul. And Samsung is finally backing that up with a serious commitment. Now let's be honest about the downsides, because there are a few real ones worth knowing before you buy. First, the charging speed is behind the competition. At 45 watts, Samsung is noticeably slower than phones like the OnePlus 13 or even some mid-range competitors hitting 80 or 100 watts. If you're someone who plugs in for a quick 15-minute top-up in the morning, you'll notice the difference. It's not a deal breaker, but it is a gap that Samsung hasn't closed. Second, no micro SD card slot. This has been gone for a couple of generations now, and if you rely on expandable storage for large video files or photography work, you need to buy the higher storage tier up front because you can't add it later. For a phone positioned as a creative powerhouse, that's a real limitation. Third, One UI can feel overwhelming with its sheer number of features and settings. For power users, that's a gift. But if you hand this phone to someone who's less tech savvy, or if you're switching from iPhone, the learning curve is steeper than it needs to be. Samsung has the features, they just don't always make them easy to find. A more streamlined setup experience would go a long way. Alright, let's see what actual buyers are saying. One reviewer wrote, and I love this one, "Bought this phone because my therapist said I needed to stop taking blurry photos of my feelings. 5 stars, the 200 MP camera is now capturing my existential dread in stunning detail." Relatable, honestly. Another buyer said, "I switched from iPhone after 7 years. The S Pen alone was worth it. I'm sketching ideas in meetings and everyone thinks I'm way more organized than I actually am. That's peak productivity theater and I respect it." And then there's this gem. "My previous phone was 4 years old. Going to the S25 Ultra felt like stepping out of a horse-drawn carriage onto a high-speed train. My only complaint is that now I have no excuse for missing emails." That's the truest thing anyone has ever written about a phone upgrade. The camera, the speed, the display, once you use a phone this good, everything else feels like a step backward. Real buyers consistently highlight the camera system and the S Pen as the standout features, and the build quality gets mentioned in almost every positive review. So here's where we land. Buy the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra if you want the best Android camera experience available right now, if the S Pen is something you'll actually use, or if you're upgrading from an S22 Ultra or older and want a meaningful generational leap. The 7-year update promise also makes this a genuinely smart long-term investment. Skip it if you're already on the S24 Ultra and happy. The improvements are real but incremental. Also skip it if fast charging is a priority for your lifestyle, because the competition beats Samsung here. And if you're deep in the Apple ecosystem, the switching cost in apps and muscle memory is real, so think that one through. Overall rating, 9 out of 10. It's not flawless, but it's about as close as Android gets right now. So that's my full take on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now I want to hear from you. Are you buying it or are you skipping it? Drop your answer in the comments below. If this review saved you some time or helped you make a decision, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel. And subscribe if you want a new honest review every single week. No fluff, no sponsored opinions. See you in the next one.